Minasan konnichiwa. Welcome to the Board Game Dojo's Import or Not series, where we take a look at games from Asia and let you know if they're worth your hard-earned money to import or not. Today, we are taking a look at Whale to Look, Oink's newest mainstream release that is going to ask you, well, how good are you at being a whale sightseeing captain? And are you better than your friends? Let's see if this game is something to import from overseas or better to be thrown overboard. This is the Board Game Dojo's Import or Not. This is Oink's Whale to Look. Whale to Look is a game for 2 to 5 sightseeing tour captains that plays in around 30 minutes. Each player will get themselves in their own player color, some investigation markers, some boats, and their dock. They'll also take tourists, making sure that one of their boats has 1 tourist in it, one of their boats has 2 tourists, and the last boat has 3 tourists. They'll also get an anchor and a radar. Turns in this game are extremely simple. The first thing you can do is to investigate the number of fish. You'll choose one of the fish cards on the board and put down your indicator marker to show that you are taking a look at it. You'll then secretly take a peek at it and then put it back down. Instead of doing an indicator marker, you can instead do a radar to flip one of these fish cards face up so everybody can see it. But it would look pretty weird if you investigated the water but didn't move your tourists anywhere. So if you do investigate, then you need to move your boat. You can either move your boat from your dock to somewhere on the board, or move one of the boats that are already on the board to an adjacent area. Be careful not to move your boat over a fish card. This is where you might get some blockages though, because the most people that are allowed on a single spot are the same number as players, which means that, hey, if somebody puts 2 of their boats in the same spot, that means somebody's not going to be able to go there. One important thing to note is that on your turn, once per round, you can do an anchor move, which means that you're going to move your boat and then anchor it. That means you won't be able to move that boat for the rest of the round, but if that boat scores, you get an additional 2 points. At the start of your turn, if you can't or don't want to move, or you have run out of investigation markers, you flip your dock to the finished state and you are done. Once everybody's done, you're going to calculate the score. You'll flip over all the fish cards face up, and for each area, add up the numbers on the 4 adjacent fish cards. You'll check to see which one the whale appears at and which one the orca appears at. The whale will appear at the one in which has the most total amount of fish, and the orca appears at the one with the least amount of fish. If you were in one of those spots that have the whale and orca, you score based on how many tourists were on the boats that you had in those locations. Don't forget to add in your anchor score. You'll then get ready to play a second round, returning all the boats to your dock, reshuffling the fish cards, and putting them back out. You'll throw in a trend card that might add a new mechanism or a new way to score. You'll play the rest of it the same way as the first round. After the second round scoring, whoever has the most points wins the game, and that's how you play Whale to Look. Let's start by answering the most frequently asked question about this game. What is with the name Whale to Look? Where does that come from exactly? Well, it's actually like a pun on the inability of the Japanese language, because there is no L in the Japanese language, and the closest thing to it is an R. So typically when Japanese speakers who are not as used to speaking the English language try to pronounce a word with an L, it sounds more like an R, which means that this game that's all about whales, that is talking about Whale to Look, sounds a lot more like Where to Look. Whale to look, where to look. Haha, pun, Japanese language. I'm not gonna give my opinion on that. I have no idea whose idea this was. There's a lot to unpack there. That's for another video. Put that aside for now. But let's go with actually what's on the box to what is inside the box, because Oink has really prided themselves with these very nice components and very nice production in a tiny package. Now, because that has often been what they have been associated with, there have been some reviews of this saying some disappointments with the component quality, but I think they are just fine. It's just the difference between the above average productions that we've seen before from Oink with just average. And it's average because this is clearly a sacrifice. There are a lot of components in this box, which I'm going to talk about in a second, but I think that there was just a sacrifice there that was like, well, we can either have really above average production and probably have what used to be Oink's biggest problem in terms of production, which was you would have lid lifts in which you couldn't take the box. Well, this one closes snugly, probably because they made that sacrifice and made thinner, less quality components, but you can actually get it in the box. But also, all that number of components is actually probably the biggest downside to this game, because setup is just kind of tedious. tedious. It takes a long time. It's not hard to do, but it's just like, hey, you have to put tourists into the boats themselves. Like you put the cardboard, you got to take it and put it in the wood, and then this one gets 2. Again, it's not hard. It just takes a little bit longer than you would expect a game of this size to take. But other than that, let's actually talk about the gameplay itself. The central mechanic of this game is simply that you have information that other people do not, and so how do you use that information and the decision about it? There are timing considerations of that, and there is also just trying to decide when to call it good. For the timing aspects of this game, there are points in which you need to decide, okay, I know that that area has a lot of fish, so there's probably going to be a whale over there. But if I bring all of my boats over there, then I'm actually telling everybody else, hey, go over that way. That is where all of the fish are. And the same for the orca, in which if you find one of those cards that have like a 0-1 on them, well then, hey, people are going to want to go over that direction. Especially when you get to the anchoring mechanic, in which case, hey, you're going to get bonus points because you have the anchor there. You have put yourself there. I am the man who cannot be moved. And yet at the same time, if you do that too early, then again, you're signaling to everybody else, hey, I am very confident that this is a spot that's going to get me points. But if you do it too late, well, maybe somebody else has already figured that one out too, and they're going to block your path to getting there, and now you are stuck. So it's the balance between those two things that make up the crunch of the game, the strategy of the game, and where a lot of the replayability is going to come in is in getting better about that, but also in the trend cards that happen in the second round that makes maybe whales better in the second round in this game, or orcas better in the second round in this game. There's just slight tweaks. They don't change the fundamental gameplay at all, but they are where the replayability is supposed to come in and maybe make you think about things just a little bit different for this game. Now, this hidden information thing is not revolutionary. In fact, I have seen this a lot in specifically Japanese designs in the past couple of years. I think we've played something like 5 or 6 different games that have this as the central mechanism. But I don't think that this game is trying to be the best at this mechanism, but rather to be the most streamlined version of this mechanism, or rather to pack 50% of what a game that uses this mechanism but is in a bigger box in a quarter of the size and a quarter of the time. This game is quick and this game is small, which is one of the reasons we put it in our coffee table games video, is because it's a really nice game to play after a long day of work. But saying that, it is an interesting thing for Oink games, because rather Oink Games has really made their mark of a lot of their best games are saying this is like this, but this. And there'd be something new in that spot. So for example, Insider is 20 questions, but with a trader. Town 77 is Sudoku, but push your luck. Deep Sea Adventure is a push your luck game, but bad. Whale to Look doesn't actually seem to have anything that's like the but, whoa, look at this new thing. It's actually just taking mechanisms that we've seen before and combining them into that smaller package, that smaller play time. And that in and of itself is kind of the innovation, if you will, of this game. And so taking a step back and actually asking the question, well then who is this for and who is this not for? Well, let's start with the people who this isn't for, because I think that that's just going to be the easier question. The biggest no for you, like, hey, this is not going to be for you, is going to be if you don't like luck in your games, if you prefer your kind of information building games to be something in which you can get perfect information or almost perfect information from. There's just going to be rounds of this game in which another player is just going to get very lucky and get one of the very highest cards and they're going to move there. They're going to get the very lowest cards and they're going to move there. And there's just nothing that you're going to be able to do about it because you keep just choosing the wrong cards, which in this game is most of the time the middle cards, because those could be good, those could be bad, they could be a part of something, they could be a part of nothing, who knows, right? If you're not okay with that, then this game is not really going to be for you. But the other people I think who need to ask the question of do they need this game are the people who already have 10, 15 games that have this hidden information mechanism at its core. I don't think it is the best hidden information game out there, but what I do think it is probably one of the best in its size. And that is the main thing, and where I'm going to get to the people who this is for. For me, this is going to have a spot in my collection because this is just the most portable one. Yes, if I have hours to play and I want a game that has slightly hidden information like this, I'm probably going to play Watson and Holmes. But Watson and Holmes is also much harder to bring to a game group. It's much harder to get enough people who are kind of energetic enough to play that game during that night, and so I just don't get to play it as much. In fact, in the couple months that I've had Whale to Look, I've already played Whale to Look way more times than I've had Watson and Holmes, and I've had Watson and Holmes for 2 years in my collection. So that's really the first group that I recommend this for, are people like me that like this mechanism. I have tried a lot of games like it, but this one is absolutely the smallest package, the most streamlined, and the shortest play time to get it played. So it's just going to get a lot more plays. But the second big group, and this is kind of related, are people who have not tried this mechanism before. The hidden information world of board gaming has so many possibilities and have so many subgenres or mix with other mechanisms that if you want to try a game like this, which works really well because of the lower cost to entry and because of the streamlined rules, then if you find you like this game, then this opens up a world of possibility, an ocean of games for you to try. I'm not going to say Whale to Look is like a return to form, because I don't really think they're ever out of form, but this feels like the first game in a while from Oink Games that I am confident in saying, I think this game is going to be a hit, a la something like Startups in international audiences. We are giving this a 1 star, which means that we do in fact recommend it as an import if you are looking for something in this genre. It is not only a welcoming entry into the genre thanks to its streamlined rules, its beautiful look on the table, and its low cost of entry, but for people like me who have this genre but it's in a lot of big boxes, this is a way of actually getting us to play this genre that we enjoy a lot more. Well, thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe below. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that we can give away a free signed copy of a game that we have very recently positively reviewed. Stay tuned for next time. We are going to be talking about a Japanese Kickstarter game that is now being more widely available, so stay tuned. That's going to do it for me today. ありがとうございました. Until next time, じゃあね.